Today we're going to look at something that was requested by quite a few people, which is a summary of my April seasoning. Gwent, I feel like at this disclaimer, this is not necessarily representative of the top of the ladder or anything. It's just what I saw in my games, which, we always see Renfri. That's just how it is. But anyway, yeah, this is 240 games from 24 to 2500 MMR and pro rank. So let's get into it here. I just hit all the games real quick here to not spoil anything. We'll come back here. But let's just begin by looking at the factions. So this season, this is the faction, well, these are the factions we played against. Probably not too surprising here. Nilfgaard is the most popular one, in my games at least, at 24% of the ladder. And then we've got Skellige at just about 20%, tied with Northern Realms at 20%, which I did not expect, but Demavend and Temerian Infantry spam are pretty good, so that is pretty popular. And then Scoia'tael is pretty close, and then Monsters is almost as low as Syndicate. I've always seen Syndicate as the least popular faction, but Monsters is right down there right now too, which is kind of crazy to me. And yeah, Nilfgaard is the most popular, but not by as much as it used to be, in my games at least. And I think it'll be really interesting to look at this compared to next season if I keep the same data again, keep track of it. But yeah, so this is the factions. Nothing too surprising. I thought Nilfgaard would be more popular and Monsters more popular. I thought we'd be a little less on the Northern Realms, but other than that, this seems to make sense to me. Seems about right. And let's go into each faction in detail then. So these are all the decks we played against. I extracted all this from the first sheet and put them over here. And let's go take a look at what we've got here. So, for Monsters, the most popular monster decks, again, as I said, these are just games I played, and I think that'll be the last time I say that. But yeah, the most popular monster decks, we have, I included only decks I saw more than twice here, because there's a lot of decks that I played against twice, and a whole bunch more that I just played one time, and I didn't really include all these on here because they make it really ugly. So these are the most popular Monsters decks. We have Frost, not surprising, seen a lot of Frost. Frost is pretty good right now, actually quite good. And second most popular is Renfri Koshé. Yeah, this one I have to do the disclaimer. Most of the Renfri Koshé decks were in the beginning of the season, although I did play a couple after that. So either they got out of the MMR range or they decided after the nerfs the Renfri wasn't good enough, but I don't think that's the case. So yeah, this is it. Those are the two most popular ones, almost tied. Then we have mid-range fruits, pretty standard deck there. Golden Echo Vampires and Tatterwing Arrakis Swarm at 4. So these are the most popular monster decks I played against. Okay, and yeah, I'm not surprised by this, and I think for most of these, we'll go each faction. For the most case, the most popular ones are also the ones I think are the best. So not really surprised, with one or two exceptions, which we will mention. That is not always the case, but for most of them, I think those popular decks are also the best decks, which is probably not too surprising. For Nilfgaard, what a shocker. I hate this list so much. Nilfgaard's most popular deck is Enslave Assimilate at 16, which is quite a lot. And number 2 most popular Nilfgaard deck is Mill, which I hate seeing. 7 Mill players. Yeah, so Mill would be the second most popular. I hate, because that deck is just, it's no fun for anybody involved, really. Just RNG fest. And then under that, we have a whole bunch of ties at 3 with Bombs. Enslave Ivo Assimilate, kind of like this one, but it has Ivo in it, so I separated it because I wanted to see how much Ivo is being played. Then we have Status Ball and Soldier Renfri. So Renfri and Nilfgaard seems to have disappeared, which is not too surprising. As did the double bombs. They got some heavy nerfs, but they're still there. And these were not at the beginning of the season. These were later on, near the end of the season. And yeah, so Mill being the second most popular, these are all Toussaint Mill, by the way. We'll get into the leaders later, but it's very interesting to me that Mill is so popular. And this is one of the ones I mentioned where Mill is really popular, but I don't think it's a good deck. Enslave Assimilate is, though, which is kind of, you can see that here. It's the only Nilfgaard deck we played. For Northern Realms, we have some other popular ones here. Again, the scales do change between the graphs, so just keep that in mind. Temple Demavend at 12 is the most popular one, even after all of its nerfs. Temple Demavend is still probably the best Northern Realms deck. Best. And then followed by Temerian Infantry Flotsam. Again, not a surprise there. Those decks are really good. They have a lot of point slam. They have a lot of potential. They've got a lot of different things they can do. And they're just both really good. Following up on that, we've got Northern Realms Knights. Not too surprising there, although it's a decent deck. And then we have Stockpile Siege. Not really surprised here. This is just like the Flotsam one, but without the Temerian Infantry, just playing Stockpile and Siege. Then we have Alumni's, Golden Necker Shield Witchers, and Renfri Priestess all tied down here. So, interesting one to me. I kind of knew that the Temple would be the most popular one. And Flotsam, again, like these I kind of figured would be the most popular decks. I think they're the best decks. But then there's a lot of mixes down here at 3. And there's a whole bunch of, we'll get one-ofs in here as well. For Skellige, again, this one's not surprising to me at all. We've got Raid Warriors with Patricidal Fury over here at 14. I separated the Raid Warrior Blaze of Glories, but really you could probably add these two together and then make this, it would surpass the Enslave. Then we've got Onslaught Pirates and Onslaught Pirates with Compass. Again, these are kind of the same deck. I just separated them because of the leaders and stuff. I wanted to have some certain data that we could analyze, so I put them into different categories. And then we've got Lippy, Compass, Fluminica. This deck is the one where they play Lippy round 1, and then play Corrupted Fluminica 3 times. Like round 1, they try and win it with Lippy, blah, blah, blah. They play Corrupted Fluminica right away round 2, or in the end of round 1, because their whole deck's in the graveyard. It's like a 30. Then they play it again round 2, it's like a 30. And then they try and play it again round 3, or they just try and 2-0 you. They purify round 2, and then play it again round 3. So this is that deck. It's an interesting deck. It's kind of frustrating to play against because it's very draw dependent for them. If they draw perfectly, it's really hard to actually stop, but that is the most popular one here tied with these. But really, Skellige, if you take a look here, Skellige comes down to essentially only 2 decks at the moment. Raid Warriors and Onslaught Pirates, and nothing else we got played more than twice. Like, that's it. Which is, this is a problem to me for Skellige. Skellige really only has these 2 decks at the moment. And I don't like that. Like, Skellige needs some more diversity here. Scoia'tael, we've got Precision Strike Renfri taking the #1 spot. Like the Koshé Renfri, this was more popular at the start of the season, but I still saw it throughout the season. Like, I played one like the other day. So, not surprised to see this. Not surprised to see Symbiosis in second place. Symbiosis has some very good engines, has a very good point slam with Sim Loss. It's just overall a pretty strong deck. Then down here we've got Heist Waylays, always kind of hanging out. Movement Golden Necker, thanks to buffs to Melina and such, which is nice. I like to see this one making it in here. And then we've got Guerrilla Tactics Harmony. I prefer Call of Harmony, but Guerrilla Tactics Harmony is also pretty decent. Pretty good deck. It might be better, but I like the other one. I like Call of Harmony more. So those are the Scoia'tael decks. Again, nothing too surprising here. And yeah, again, these are probably the strongest decks. The Renfri Precision Strike one might have fallen off after the beginning of the season, but it's still pretty good. For Syndicate, as we just quickly here change the title with 1 letter. Okay, most popular Syndicate decks. We've got, again, there's not many Syndicate players, so there's only one here above 3, which is Pirates Cove Collusion, which I think is probably the best Syndicate deck at the moment. So no surprise there. And then the other ones we saw more than once. We've got Firesworn, Jackpot, and Line Pockets Firesworn. This is the senior deck, right? They play Line Pockets and Senior, Townsfolk type of thing sometimes. And they just play the Senior with the Firesworn stuff, but in lined pockets. So that is the Syndicate. No surprise here. Again, not many Syndicate players. So if we go take a look at the most popular decks overall, what do we end up with? Well, not too surprising. Enslave Assimilate's #1, followed by Raid Warriors. If we add Blaze of Glory Raid Warriors to the Patricidal Fury Raid Warriors, we end up with that one taking the #1 spot. So these two are both at the top there. Then we have the Northern Realms Temple Demavenge deck. Again, it's a really good one. Then Frost Monsters Renfri Koshé, which again, and same thing with Precision Strike Renfri. These two are tied, and they kind of had the same pattern where they saw them more at the beginning of the season, and then they kind of tapered off, although they didn't disappear. We got the Flotsam Temerian Infantry, the one that got nerfed last patch, and is still very good. Symbiosis. Mill makes it into the top 10 most popular decks I faced on the ladder this season, which is, it's something, all right. Then we've got Onslaught Pirates. Again, if you add the Onslaught Compass Pirates to this, it shoots up, like up here. If you combine those two, which you probably should, I just didn't because I wanted to have that information for some other analyses. And then last, we got Pirates Cove Collusion. So, that are the most popular decks of the season. Pretty interesting, if you ask me. But yeah, That was interesting. And then we'll talk about leaders, because as we mentioned, the Blaze of Glory and such. So now we're going to take a look at the leaders here. So this is for monsters. Most popular one is Force of Nature, no surprise. Renfri Crochet played that, and then a couple other things did. Then number 2, again, no surprise here, is White Frost. Only Frost decks play White Frost. But yeah, we saw a lot of those. And then we've got all down here in the mid-range, like Carapace, couple different decks played this. Like a bunch of one-of decks I've faced use this. For example, we played Keltalus, that played this. Double Plague Maiden, Witch's Sabbath played this. Ogoroids, who played once or twice, played this, like type of thing. The most flexible one, I saw this in the most variety of decks. Then we have a whole bunch of Force of Natures, we said. All the Tatterwing decks here. Bloodsent decks, these are Golden Necker Vampires and Vampires. Just one Overwhelming Hunger from one Death Wish. This is the most popular, or least popular monsters one at the moment, it seems. And like some Proofs mid-range. But, like I said, Monsters wasn't the most popular faction this season. We go down to Northern Realms. This one is probably not a surprise either. But, yeah, we've got Inspired Zeal here. Most popular one. Temple Demofen played this. Inspired Zeal goes in almost anything in Northern Realms. Not as like the best choice, but you can make it work in almost anything. And we have Stockpile, again, Stockpile Siege and the Temerian deck were really popular, so this is way up here. And then we've got, surprising to me actually, Shield Wall in number 3, just above Royal Inspiration. It's a few different Shield Wall decks we played, which is kind of interesting. And then we got the Pincer Maneuvers. These are the Literally and Priestess decks. And we have Mobilization just for a couple Reaver players. And to literally no one's surprise ever, we didn't play a single Uprising player. For Scoia'tael, really comes down to Precision Strike at number 1 here, 13 times. And we got Nature's Gift and Guerrilla Tactics almost tied. Nature's Gift was all Symbiosis. Guerrilla's Tactics was a variety of movement decks, Golden Necker, non-Golden Necker, all kinds of stuff there. And also Harmony. So those all add up into here. Pretty flexible leader, actually. Deadeye Ambush for different Waylay decks. And then we just have like a one of Call of Harmony and one of Invigorate, a couple Mahakam Forges, which I think at least one of was also a Renfri deck. So those are the most popular ones in Scoia'tael. Then we come to the one that does not surprise me and embodies my issue with Skellige at the moment. This is the Skellige leaders this season. We have 22 Patricidal Furies, 12 Onslaughts, and nothing else made it above 3. So Skellige is completely polarized, in my games at least, by these two leaders at the moment, and that's kind of an issue. Right, like we have 3 of the Skellige leaders got 1 play, right? Rage of the Sea, we played 1 Rain, 1 Battle Trance, 1 Ritual. And this Rage of the Sea, by the way, was a Renfri deck. It's just Renfri Point Slam Rage of the Sea. So yeah, this is an issue, in my opinion, for Skellige. Yeah, I don't know, it's not a surprise to me. Patricidal Fury and Sov and Kara Troll, they just dominate. Like, Sov, all these play Sov, because Sov's amazing. Then all of these over here, the Onslaught decks, they are all just playing Pirates and Damage. So these are 2 damage-based decks that just kill everything, which is why we're not playing too much Skellige at the moment. It's just, that's not my favorite thing. Moving on to Nilfgaard. Most popular leader, by the way, in the entire game last season is Patricidal Fury, for me at least. Then we have Enslave way up here. Whole bunch of Enslave decks, mostly carried by the huge number of Enslave Assimilate decks, being the most popular deck we played against. And then followed up by Toussaint Hospitality, carried by all of the mill players. Awesome. Then we have Imperial Formation and Double Cross, both fairly popular leaders. Then we got down here Imprisonment, Tactical Decision, Imposter. These are clog decks, the Tactical Decisions. All the mill players seem to have transitioned into Toussaint Hospitality because of the possibility of Fall Series Point Slam just carries you in a round where you need to mill them. So, interesting here. This is not a surprise to me, though. Just remember that more than half of this Toussaint is mill, which is crazy. So overall, the most popular leaders in the game last season, in my games at least, were Patricidal Fury, as we said, like carried hard by Sov and Damage and Raid Warriors. Then we got Enslave, again, Enslave Assimilate, the most popular deck, unless you add Blaze of Glory raids and Patricidal Fury raids together. You have Inspired Zeal, really flexible, fits in a lot of decks. Down the Vent is really good. Force of Nature, Crochet Renfri carries this. Precision Strike, again, Renfri Precision Strike. Stockpile, you know how that goes. Awesome, we talked about most of these already, but Hospitality got cut off, oh well. But yeah, these are all the decks or leaders we played the most last season. And it's not a surprise that all the best decks are found in here, in my opinion. Except Pirate's Cove's kind of low. I think Pirates Cove is really good. Just no one plays Syndicate. Speaking of that, let's look at the least popular leaders. These are the leaders that got played less than 3 times last season. 0 Uprising, 0 Blood Money. No surprise there. Blood Money is just worse than Raid Warrior. In my opinion, it's like Bounty's just worse than Raid Warriors. If you want to play a control deck, just play Raid Warriors. And then you've got Uprising. Is always kind of been terrible, except when you could reset the thing for extra Scythemen way back in the day. And then we got Hunger, Call of Harmony, Invigorate, Rage to See, Battle Trans. Like, 3 of these are Skellige, which is kind of crazy to me. Skellige is just completely polarized at the moment. We got Off the Books, Hidden Cash. Some Syndicate ones, no surprise. Syndicate's not that popular. Then we got Mobilization, Mahakam Forge, and Tactical Decision. So those are the most popular, or least popular leaders in my games, which is interesting to note. Speaking of that, let's go look at the types of decks we played. So, from all the games last season, these are the types of decks we played against. We had 37% or 38% were engine. Keep in mind, a lot of these are damage engines, accounting for Stockpile and Northern Realms in general. We have a whole bunch of mid-range decks, 35%. We have like 17% control and 11% points. Then point slim's really fallen off. The mid-range decks tend to just outdo it most of the time. And then the engine decks, like engines have gotten really good at playing multiple engines in a turn, or just, that's like Northern Realms thing. Or like Golden Necker, you play into an engine, you protect it. And in Syndicate, you can always candle the engine. So engines are doing quite well at the moment, apparently. Yeah, this is about, I expected engines to be lower, but mid-range is about where I thought. A lot of the control decks are accounted for in, what's it called, Skellige at the moment. Almost all of them, actually. Because it's hard to have a pure control deck. This used to be much higher because of double Madoc bombs in Nilfgaard, but that kind of fell off after Snurfs. So, alright, this is just a quick Willow one here. And we'll finish up by taking a look at the neutral packages. I didn't make a chart for this because there's no point. So, 14% of the games we played against were Renfri decks. So that's 1 in 7, and we usually record 5 or so games for a video. And that is why it seems like we play Renfri every time we make a video, because that's how often we see her. 1 in 7 games. Just kind of fun. That might be exactly 1 in 7 games, actually. Hold on a second here. Yeah, it's almost exactly 1 in 7 games. Quick maths on point today. So yeah, we played a whole bunch of those, as you guys know from watching the videos. A few bombs, 1 construct deck, and a few dragon decks, but nothing too crazy. This bomb one would have been way higher last season, but this is what it is now. So anyway, guys, that is the summary of this season, of the April season. Let me know if you liked this, if you thought it was interesting. And before we finish, we have to check out one more column I recorded here, just for fun. What decks emote spammed at us, and who disconnected? So the disconnectors, we only had 6, or 5. We only had 5, which is not that many compared to normal. And emote spammers, we only had 4, which is about average. So, emote spammed on by Frost player, interesting. By an Enslave Assimilate player, you know, there's a whole bunch of these. So, again, these are really popular decks, so I'm not surprised. At least one of them did it. Then we've got Precision Strike Renfri. 2 of them emote spammed us, which is great. And one of them immediately lost afterward, which I thought was hilarious. And then we've got, as far as disconnectors, and Enslave Assimilate, again, not surprising, it's popular. Madoc Dragon Bombs, which is something, alright. In Skellige, they disconnected on us. One of the Renfri Strike players did, after emoting on us, like I said. And then we have a Symbiosis did, and a Mahakam Forge Renfri, who did also. And then the Firesworn, one of the Firesworns did. The last thing we want to do here, before we finish up, is I want to go through and find the weirdest decks and just show you guys what kind of stuff you can cook up with on the ladder. So most of this stuff's normal here, right? You've seen most of these. Ones you haven't that are like 1 copy of. If you want to just stop and pause and look at the name of all the decks, go ahead. But these are the ones I played against. And if we scroll down here, I want to highlight a couple funny ones. So we did play, where is it? Let's see, this one. I remember this. Northern Realms, Reaver Scout, Sapper, Bombs. So I believe this, this deck played Muta Generator, a whole bunch of 6s, because Reaver Scout's a 6, Reaver Hunter is a 6, they played that too. And then they played Sapper is a 6, and then they played, what's the one that comes out of your deck? The Verdanian Secret Service, and then a few other ones. So this played Madoc Bombs with Reaver Scouts spamming them, which was really fun to play against. That was a crazy one. And then if we go down, there was another one I want to mention here. Yeah, the Skellige Madoc bombs. We mentioned that one already because they disconnected on us. But also I want to mention Armor Abuse, still out there a couple times. But this one here, Scoia'tael. They played Precision Strike with Sihil and the Dragons and the bombs. So they were trying to go with Sihil doing 3 damage, then playing a bomb to do 4 damage, or a Sapper, and just killing literally everything. So that was another crazy one we played against. And I think that's all of the crazy ones. Oh, we did play a Renew Vanadane player as well. And yeah, so we've got this Scribe deck. This is the other one. This deck we did play more than once. The Cove double Helvide deck. So the point of this was you make as many Scribes as possible. Like fill your entire range row with Scribes with Igor the Hook. And then you go Helvide. And then you use the Nation thing to make another Helvide. And then each time you click the Helvide order, you get like 8 coins. And you spend those and then eat the tokens with the Lonely Champion. So those are the great crazy decks we played this season. Hope you guys liked this video. It was a lot of effort to make, but now that I have all the formulas and stuff set up, it won't be too bad going forward. So this is a pretty fun one. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know some of you requested this. Let me know if your ladder season aligned with what I saw, because I'm curious about that. And we'll see you in the next one. That'll be it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. And you can check out some more videos over here. And thanks for watching.